Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience. I'm here tonight with my first impressions of the Smsl Pl200 CD player. And I apologize, it's been a couple weeks since I've got a video out, but those of you that know me know that I run a small lawn care business, and it has rained pretty much every day for the last 3 weeks, and really been struggling to keep up, and the grass is growing like crazy. So anyway, trying to get this video in, and I've got a bunch overdue, so try to get back on these as soon as I can. So anyway, this was loaned to me by 8 Post Audio for review, and it currently sells for $699.99. This is not only a CD player, but it can be used as a CD transport. It does have digital outputs. It can also be used as a USB DAC, and it has a Bluetooth receiver in it, and it also has a built-in headphone amp. So this is pretty much a do-everything device here. And it also, I thought I'd throw this in, it also decodes MQA code. So this unit has 2 digital inputs, which would be Bluetooth and USB. It has 2 digital outputs, which would be optical and coax. It has 3 analog outputs, which would be RCA single-ended, XLR balanced, and a 6.3 millimeter headphone jack that is on the rear, and I'll show you that in a minute. The RCA and XLR outputs can be set at either fixed or variable, where you can control them with the volume knob and use this as a preamp actually, and where you can hook this directly to a speaker amp or headphone amp. This I did want to mention, it is a top load CD player, so you can see here, which does complicate one issue. This has to be at the top of your stack. You can't put anything on top of it. Also, you don't want it way up on a shelf where you can't see the top of it, so you got to kind of have it at a level where you can access the top and put your CDs in and out, and you know, like I said, you can't set anything on top of this for that reason. This uses, the built-in DAC uses an AKM AK4499EX DAC chip, which I believe is the flagship of the AKM DAC chip line. It claims, and this comes from SMSL, a dynamic range of 127 decibels from the RCA outputs and 132 decibels from the XLR outputs, and a signal-to-noise ratio of 127 decibels from the RCA output and 132 decibels from the XLR balanced outputs. The headphone amp, and this is once again stats given by SMSL, claims a output power of 1000 milliwatts or 1 watt into 32 ohms. The size of this unit is 7.9 inches wide by 6.8 inches deep by 1.6 inches tall, and it weighs in at 3.78 pounds or 3.75 pounds. It does have a remote control, and I'll show you that in a minute. And so the reason I wanted to mention this earlier and I forgot it, this is actually 2 firsts for me. This is the first SMSL product that I've reviewed, and this is the first CD player that I've reviewed, even though I'm pretty much 100% a CD guy. I've been doing reviews for like 5 years now, and all of my reviews either involve using a CD player or transport into the equipment I'm reviewing, or using my desktop computer, which has files that were ripped from CDs. So I'm a CD guy. I'm not into streaming. I'm not into digital files. I like CDs. I think they sound great, and I probably own about 500 CDs, and some of them are probably over 40 years old now. Around 40, yeah, I think 1986 was my first CD, so it's at 38 years, and I still have those CDs. So anyway, I haven't tried this as a USB DAC yet, which I will do before my full review of this. I will connect it to my HP laptop or desktop computer and try it as a USB DAC. I've mostly so far used this as a CD transport using the digital outputs, and I've so far used two different headphone amps, or two different DACs that I ran the digital signal from this to the DACs, and that would be the Hi-Fi Man Serenade, which is a combination amp DAC, and the Hi-Fi Neo IDSD2, which you can see sitting here behind me. And those are the two DACs I've run it into so far, but I have several other DACs that I will try before I put out my full review of this. I did try this as a CD player, but not into an external headphone amp yet. I've tried it as a CD player using its own built-in DAC into its own built-in headphone amp, and doing that, I used two headphones so far, and that was the Hi-Fi Man Ananda Nano and the Hi-Fi Man Aria Organic. And like I said, that was using the headphone jack on this, and it is on the back. And I guess it's time to give you a look at this. And you can see in the display behind me, because you're not going to see it now. I don't have this plugged in. But you can see that it has a really nice display on it with large numbers, and you can read the thing from, quite a ways across the room. But anyway, I'll show you this on the front here. You don't have much. You have a volume knob for the headphone amp, or to use this as a preamp, and you have your digital display here. And then you have what I think they call like piano key type controls here. And the first one is your play and pause, and the next one is stop, and then you've got your forward and backwards for your tracks, and that's about it on the front. On the rear, you've got a 6.3 millimeter single-ended headphone jack. You've got your XLR balanced outputs. You've got your RCA balanced outputs. Then you've got a coaxial digital output, digital input, and no, I'm wrong again. That is an output. That is a digital output to go to a separate DAC, and then you've got your optical digital output. And then these are your digital inputs. You've got your Bluetooth, and you got your USB, which looks like a Type-C. And then you've got your AC in for your power cord that does come with this. Okay, I want to show you the loading on this, because you've got, first of all, you've got your lid here, which is a big thick chunk of aluminum, and the entire chassis of this is made of aluminum. It feels really substantial, feels really nice. The quality of it, the finish is excellent. Then you've got this second little magnetic disc that goes on here that secures your CD. So you've got your CD. Here, I'll give you a look without the CD in there. And you put your CD in, and then you've got to put your little magnetic disc on there. And I did watch a couple of videos of this that said that there was no way to play the CD without the second cover, because to be honest, it is kind of a hassle. It's, to change a CD, to remove two pieces, remove the CD, then put two pieces back on. It's kind of a hassle. And one video I watched said that you can force this to play the CD, because if you don't have the cover on, if you push play on either the CD player or the remote, it won't start. Okay, one review said that this little button here that is pushed by the lid, if you hold that down, it will play, but you got to keep holding it. Well, none of that's necessary. You can make this play the CD without this big cover on it just by pushing the play button down and holding it for a few seconds, and it will start playing, and when you let it go, it will keep playing. So you can play it without the cover, but the cover, it's going to keep dust and all that out. But if you're, going to listen to several CDs and switch them and all that, you might not want to put that on there. So anyway, the thing, like I said, it's not well, actually it looks like the top part of this is one solid piece of aluminum, and then the bottom of it screws in. So you basically you almost have a one piece aluminum enclosure. Like I said, really nice quality. I'll give you a look at the remote. And here's a close-up of the remote. You can do pretty much everything with this remote. You can turn the unit on and off. You can mute it. You can go up or down with the volume. You can go forward or backwards with the tracks. You can stop. You can play. You can pause. You can get into the menu. And to be honest, the menu on this is actually a little complicated, a little overwhelming at first, because CD players usually don't have a menu where you can go in and make all these choices. Well, this one does. You can go into your inputs and select between CD, Bluetooth, or USB. You can go into your outputs and select your RCA outputs, your XLR outputs, your headphone output. You can select transport to activate the digital outputs. Then you've got your digital filters. I think this has 6 different choices of PCM digital filters and 2 of DSD digital filters. You can adjust the display brightness with this. You can set the display to go off automatically after like 1 minute when you're playing CDs. You can go, it has numbers on it, so you can go directly to any track you want, and if the track is over the number 9, then you hit 2 buttons. You can hit 1 and 0 to go to track 10, or 1 and 5 to go to track 15. It has a button to do a repeat of either a single song or the entire CD, and then it's even got a random on it. So this remote does everything pretty much a player can do. But you can, I didn't mention this, you can also get into the menu with the button on the front. This is not only a volume knob, but if you give it a quick push, it goes into the menu. Then you can go through the menu by turning it, and then select by pushing it again. Or if you push this and hold it for a second, it turns the unit on and off. And no, this doesn't have a standby. There's no power switch on the back, so that turns the unit on or off. But when the power is supplied to this and it's in the off, it does have a little light on it that lets you know that it is kind of in a standby mode, and it does come on pretty quick. I did want to mention that when you put a CD in it, the first thing it does is reads it, and usually that's pretty quick, but sometimes it can take a few seconds. Sometimes I've had to wait like 10 or 15 seconds. And it seems to take longer if I'm using a rewrite CD, a CD that I recorded from a file ripped on my computer or whatever. And this will read rewritable CDs, and it'll even read rewritable CDs that are recorded in WAV format, which is what I primarily use. And I did want to mention that I've got a couple of Sony DVD players that play CDs, but they will not play the rewrites, or maybe it's the WAV format, I'm not sure, but they won't play it. But my Cambridge audio CD player has no problem with the rewrites, and I've got a couple of Panasonic Universal players that don't have any problems with the rewrite CDs. This one doesn't either. So I wanted to talk about this in a couple of different ways. I wanted to talk about it as a transport, using the digital output into a separate DAC, which is what I've used this as primarily more than any other way. And before I get into that, I wanted to talk about transports, CD transports, because there's two different theories on CD transports. The first theory says that all CD transports should sound the same, that they're putting out a digital bit stream, a set of ones and zeros, and that it doesn't matter as long as the CD player is reading the CD correctly and putting out the correct ones and zeros, there should be no difference in the sound. The other theory is that the internal clock, and different things, mechanisms inside the CD player can introduce jitter or not, or the power supply can affect the sound. I'm not really sure on this one. I'm kind of still in the middle with this, because to be honest, I've used a lot of different CD transports and not really noticed any significant difference in the sound. But I think it has a lot to do with your DAC also, because if you modern DACs are so good at removing jitter that if a CD transport is producing jitter, if the DAC is able to remove it, is there going to be a difference in the sound? And so I'm not really sure. I've hooked up, some transports to some really good DACs and not really noticed a large difference, but it does make sense that, a DAC or a CD transport with higher quality parts is going to, put out possibly a more pure signal with better timing. I don't know. So like I said, I'm still kind of down the middle with this. I really don't know if a transport makes a lot of difference if you're running into a decent DAC that's able to remove jitter and things like that. On the other hand, a CD player that's using its own internal DAC and using its own internal analog output circuits, then I definitely think there's a large difference. There's a huge difference between one CD player to another as far as sound. So I haven't compared this to anything yet. I haven't, and I've been doing reviews for like 5 years, and my primary CD source has been a Cambridge Audio 540C CD player used as a transport. And it does have a pretty decent DAC in it, but there's definitely improvement going to, relatively high-end DACs with the digital outputs of that. So anyway, as a transport, okay, so far what I've noticed is, number one, this seems to do a pretty good job of reading CDs that are in less than perfect condition. To be honest, my Cambridge Audio is getting old, and it's reached the point where some of my older CDs, some of my CDs that are in less than perfect conditions, I'm getting little dropouts and things here and there. So it is time for me to probably update. Not that there's anything wrong with my Cambridge, but I think, it is like about 10, maybe 12 years old now. And in fact, the belt on the drawer has broke a couple times, which I've replaced. But anyway, so yeah, I'm hoping to get some more CD players in the near future and do some reviews. And I am kind of looking for a CD player or a CD transport to replace my aged Cambridge Audio, for my future reviewing. But anyway, but to be honest, of all the CD players I've used, I've got a couple of, especially, I've got this like 20-year-old Sony DVD player that does a better job of tracking on old, less than perfect CDs than anything I've ever tried. I mean, I can throw CDs that are all scratched up and look like crap into my old Sony CD player, and it'll play them without a glitch, where some of the newer stuff, but I haven't noticed this. I haven't tried this with any really bad CDs, but CDs that I've had a few problems with a few other players, it seems to be doing pretty well. So it seems to be pretty forgiving of less than perfect CDs. As far as the sound, I can't say that I've noticed a difference between the sound of this as a transport and my Cambridge Audio CD player used as a transport. I haven't compared them directly, and I will do that before I do my full review. Okay, as a CD player, I haven't used this yet using the RCA or XLR outputs into a headphone amp. Excuse me. What I have done is I've used it as a CD player, using its own internal DAC into its own internal headphone amp, and to be honest, it's pretty decent. It seems to have a pretty good headphone amp. Well, first of all, the DAC in it seems to be really good, and I will try this, like I said, as a CD player and other headphone amps, but haven't got to that yet. But as far as from its own headphone output, using the Hi-Fi Man Ananda Nano and the Aria Organic, which are excellent headphones, it seems to do a really good job. Neither one of those is extremely hard to drive. They're some of the easier to drive planar magnetics, so that's not really a statement on the power output of this. It's rated at 1,000 milliwatts, which is going to be fine for most headphones, but it's probably going to come up short with something like the Hi-Fi Man Sasvara or the Hi-Fi Man HE6 SE. And I have both of those headphones and I will try them, but I'm guessing it's not going to have enough power to take those to its full potential. But as far as the sound quality, it does seem pretty decent. Okay, I will be honest with you though, using the digital outputs of this, using it as a transport into the iFi Neo IDSD2 and the Serenade, it does sound better. There is a little, there is an improvement going into either of those with a digital signal. So I don't know if it's the DAC or it's the headphone amp. I'm guessing it's probably the headphone amp. It's probably, this is a big improvement over the original Neo. The Neo 2 now has 5 watts per channel, and it does a very good job with even the Sasvara. And the Serenade from Hi-Fi Man, I think, is something like 4 or 5 watts per channel. Also does a very good job with the Hi-Fi Man Sasvara, and they're just more powerful, more solid amps that just give a little bit warmer and a little bit more weight to the sound, and so you are going to get an improvement going into a good headphone amp using, but I haven't tried it yet using the analog outputs from the rear end of the headphone amp. I'll find out what happens doing that before I do my full review. So like I said, I haven't tried this as a USB DAC yet, but I will before my full review comes out. What else? I've talked about CD loading. I've got some notes here. I've talked about the menu. I've talked about the remote. So basically, this kind of wraps up my first impressions. I will get back to you as soon as I can with the full review. And the things I want to cover in that full review is I'll try a few more headphones from the built-in headphone amp. I'll try this as a transport into a few other DACs. I'll try this as a CD player using the XLR and RCA outputs into a couple of higher-end headphone amps. And I will try this as a standalone DAC from my USB source from my laptop or my desktop computer. So anyway, I'll be back as soon as I can with that full review, and hopefully this video has helped you. If it did, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, please do so. And the headphone experience over on Facebook is up to 31.4 thousand members. You are all welcome to join us over there. It's a friendly group, not a lot of arguments, things like that. And I think most of you are going to like it if you're not there already. So hope to see you soon with my next video. And once again, thanks for watching my video.